Bushwhacks were some of the worst days I've ever had in the mountains, or life, really.
Whereas Panther Mountain is totally opposite. It's a mountain on top of a crater.
I think the weather challenges on this incident were particularly difficult.
It was really the development of New York State. Catskills were responsible.
Now you're listening to Inside the Line, the Catskill Mountains Podcast.
Oh, so I don't have to click through 8 buttons to do that shit? Nice. All right. Ooh, I shouldn't say that. Ooh, whoops. Don't want to hit some bad notes, you know. All right. Yeah. So welcome to episode 187. Tonight, Andrew Hutchinson joins us. 2025 Escarpment Run win. He won the 2025 Escarpment one, and that was, Andrew, you're going to be here talking about it all night, which is great. But that was difficult conditions, right? We had misty weather, slippery rocks, stuff like that, right?
Typical Catskills fashion. We had a nice rainy morning, rain overnight, some slick rocks, humid morning, a bit foggy, mixed bag, all those things. So
Andrew, what I remember from the weekend that this was held on is the smoke in the air from Canadian fires. So I guess we'll talk about that later, but that's what stands out in my memory from that day.
You know what stands out, not on that day, but in general with the whole East Coast right now, is what happened up on good old Giant Ledge, one of our great places that we love to hear stories from. So on August 29th at 5 p.m., Raybrook Dispatch received a 911 via satellite text from a hiker reporting a group of 4 was lost near Giant Ledge in the Slide Mountain Wilderness. I don't understand how you can be lost, but then it comes out, and it says the original caller admitted the group had consumed mushrooms, and one of them was experiencing a debilitating high. At 6:45 p.m., Rangers Francescina, Jeffrey, and Martin located the group of hikers, and Rangers and the Pine Hill Fire Department assisted the subject to the trailhead where they were evaluated by the Shandaken ambulance. Somewhere along the way, the hikers also lost their car keys. Rangers provided a courtesy ride to the subject's rental lodging, and the following day, Ranger Martin hiked back up and found a sling bag with the keys under a log in tall ferns. Now, that's pretty awesome and crazy. Martin's been on the show before. Twice, I believe, Ranger Martin has been on the show. And I've worked with him before. Stand-up guy, freaking just phenomenal and fun. So I reached out to him to see what his response on this was. And they did, apparently they did an interview on New York Times. And he said it was entertaining, nonetheless. I didn't I was out and about today, but I didn't get to the New York Times article. But he said it was very entertaining. And from the picture of them carrying one person, you know, Tad, you were alive during the era of mushrooms and everything, drugs galore. How is that a lot of mushrooms?
Well, so do you have some level of confirmation that they brought psychedelic mushrooms with them, or were they just consuming mushrooms that they found along the trail? Are you rushing to judgment and convicting these Catskill hikers, guilt by association, or do you know for a fact that they had psychedelics, which are legal in at least Oregon, to my knowledge?
Well, then I would say they weren't consuming mushrooms off of the trail on Giant Ledge, because it's Giant Ledge. Like, that's just the trail that everybody goes to, and then
to eat mushrooms?
To just go to have a good time. And it says 1.6 miles. It's not that bad until you realize it's 1,200 feet of gain in 1.6 miles. So
yeah, well, that's it. This mushroom consumption or psychedelic consumptions in the Catskills, I think that this is something that we're hearing more and more of year after year. It's kind of like a new thing, apparently.
Yeah, we heard it in what was it? Tremper was a weird. I don't know if it was mushrooms, but it was some sort of drugs where the guy thought he was being chased by the other guy, and he was getting gunned down or something. That must have been fun.
Yeah, I just want to know why Andrew has my cat in his office right now, or his room where he's recording?
I mean, I took a quick trip up to the Catskills, stole your cat, drove back
Mhm.
down here, hopped on the recording. So,
Got you. Well, he's going to miss dinner time. That's for sure.
oh man.
I mean that it's been going around apparently this whole incident, and it's definitely different. And the one thing is like, New York State doesn't charge people for the rescues, and
Apparently, do you know whether or not any charges were filed against these people?
I haven't heard anything yet. I mean,
Yeah, that's
usually
interesting.
I've never heard it being charged unless it's like a big helicopter rescue. That's
Yeah.
like negligence.
So, well, they were negligent by consuming the dosage that they did. I mean, that I think seems fairly certain from the outcome here. Interesting why it is that at least one of them took so much that he was experiencing a debilitating high. It's not supposed to be a debilitating high.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be a fun high,
true.
not debilitating.
So I actually pulled up the article, and it says Martin, expert in mushrooms, but these gentlemen definitely rode highs and lows. So once again, he said it would have been a great location to break a leg. I mean, I agree with him because once again, the Giant Ledge Trail isn't just some paved path. Slide is pretty easy, but Giant Ledge has boulders and rocks and stuff like that, slippery sections. So.
Forest that just about anywhere in the Catskills is an area where you could break a leg if you're not being careful. Isn't that true, Andrew?
Yeah, don't mess around with the Catskills. They're not as tall as maybe some other mountains on the East Coast, but what they lack in maybe in vertical, they make up for in technicality. So
Correct.
gotta be
There
careful.
you go. That's a show. We're going to wrap it up with that.
Yeah, that'll be it. I mean, our show is too long anyway, so.
Yeah.
But so it's once again, it also happened up in the Adirondacks on Cascade and Porter, I believe, and it said the member of their hiking party died, and so they like went out.
Oh, yeah.
Freaking. Oh yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, and so they went on a frantic, and they're like, yeah, he didn't die. He's like right here. He's just really high, and I'm like, what the? Just insane. So
Must be some really, really good mushrooms they're getting a hold of.
I know who's supplying these. Let's get him on the show and get Woodstock freaking 69 all over again.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Little quick, also hot off the press just today, probably like, I don't know, 2 hours ago, I got the email of the ranger report. And apparently up on Rocky Mountain, there was a fire. There was a forest fire. September 3rd, 1:45 p.m. Horn responded to Rocky Mountain for a report of an undetected campfire that spread to Duff near the summit. The small fire was 3 to 4 mile hike into a remote trailless peak. The following day, Martin and Stratton joined the efforts and determined that the fire was 20 by 20 feet. Rangers removed hazardous trees from the fire and used hand tools to expose underground heat in preparation for the nighttime precipitation. Despite the rain, the fire grew 20 by 30 feet, and on September 8th, the New York State Police Aviation was called in to assist with bucket drops. Fire crews eliminated all heat and smoke. The fire is now patrol status, and rangers are monitoring. So, Ted, I don't know if you saw that. I mean, that's a popular place for stupid people to do it. Rocky is remote, flat, and people think they can camp there, and it's a place that'll just spark a fire in a second. And the pictures actually look really bad. That Pikamoose fire looks like nothing, like nothing happened. Now this looks like it's going to be there for a very long time. Have you seen the report?
I haven't seen the report, but I remember, I forget if it was last summer or the summer before, there was a fire up there. I don't think it was as extensive or as big as this fire. And I'm going to assume if the fire was on the summit this time, that it's in the same location as it was last summer or the summer before. And somebody the prior fire had tried to put the fire out by pushing it off the ledge.
There you go.
Yeah, and so you could see where stuff caught on fire below, but apparently it burned out on its own. although I do understand the DEC went up and investigated it later on.
Yeah. Push the fire. Those are the times when you just say, God bless America.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that somebody started a fire up there and didn't take the precautions to make sure that they properly put it out. That doesn't legitimize their starting a fire, if you're prepared to put it out. I mean, you really shouldn't start a fire back there, particularly this time of year, because it is and has been dry, and now we see what happens.
Yeah. I'll send you a screenshot of what it looks like.
Yeah. So the real question is, how many montane birds were driven out of their habitat by this fire?
Oh no, that is it. They're shutting it down. Rocky's getting shut down now. All those birds are done.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well,
all right.
There you go.
All right. So
Andrew looks unaffected by that, but oh well.
And
you're gonna have to explain what a montane bird?
Yeah, as in mountain birds.
Mountain bird.
That
Okay.
take up nesting or roosting in higher elevations. Generally over 3,200 feet in the Catskills.
Okay.
Yeah. And they're rare. They say they're rare. This has been happening. It's a big discussion, big thing that's been happening.
They say they're becoming more rare.
More rare since 2009.
Yeah, and I'm not talking as in medium rare. I'm talking in terms of rare.
All right. So Tad, don't go too far with this. We can't take it. We're taking up too much time.
I gotcha. All
right. So we just talked about biking and stuff like this. So I guess Tad, do you know a lot about this? Killian Jornet plans to summit every 14K mountain in the contiguous U.S. by using only bike and hike. Now that's pretty freaking crazy.
Yeah, I didn't see how long he plans on this project taking. It's interesting. He's a father, has a family, and he's going to set out on bicycle to bike to and hike, run, jog, whatever, up and down every one of these mountains in the country over 14,000 feet. There was a guy recently, I think he was from England proper, that cycled over to do Mount Everest and then cycle back unsupported. And thanks for sending me the photo of what was on Rocky. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Really sad.
Yeah. But so once again, it doesn't, like you're right. He doesn't say what he's projected to think of what he's going to do. But apparently, like all the 14, so he's got to start in Colorado and then probably go all the way up to Washington, like the tippy top of Washington, right at the Canadian border, and finish with those, all by bike and hike.
Yeah, well, I assume he's somehow, whether through AI and or other means, has figured out the most logical biking route to take. But Andrew, what do you think of that? Do you think you would try something like that? Do you think that's sensible?
Well, if only I had the time.
Right?
That's a long time to be doing a project like that. He did something similar last year in the Alps. I forget exactly what he called the project and what it included, but it was some multiple week link up of these high peaks in the Alps that he connected by bike. And of course, over in Europe, it's more closely populated with these mountains, so a little easier to get around rather than biking from Colorado all the way to. There's 14ers in Washington. I think is Rainier over 14?
Rainier is definitely
under.
Oh,
I know, like Shasta and California's and Whitney, those are on opposite ends of the state.
Yeah,
and you have to go from Colorado. I mean, we're talking about biking thousands of miles here.
Yeah.
It's a pretty impressive link up.
Other states, Alaska, Denali. Washington also has 14ers, including the famous Mount Rainier.
So Andrew, what do you think? He gets sponsorship money to do this? Is that how it's possible?
Well, Killian Jornet definitely has the sponsorship and the means to do projects like this. So I think that's one way. And he's also there's been a lot of talk about how he's been sharing the project. So I think he has a film crew out there with him producing media, which is probably generating revenue and also probably a, a way to show off his company because he has this company that he left Solomon and he started his own company, Normal with two N's. So it's a good advertising for that as well. So I guess he has the freedom to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
He's a lucky guy.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Kudos to him for putting it all together. I guess the next person to try this with their personal film crew is going to be Julie McGuire. She's gonna bike and ski all the 14,000 footers.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
to God, and Shay is gonna do that. Shay is gonna do it like he did with the long path. So it's and then Andrew's gonna come in and take like halfway. He's gonna take the baton and go up. Like, oh my God, this is Ted. I think we got something going here.
Yeah, it all started on this podcast.
Yeah.
Right. The idea.
I'll
that's what
remember
we
you
do.
guys when I'm out there in 20 years.
I mean, if I get the sponsors, we're all good, right? We're at least gonna try it, and then like within like 5 seconds, we'll be like, nah, we can't do this. Like,
I mean, if you front the money for the van and the film crew and plane tickets and the cost of not working for a few months,
Yeah, you're going to
Yeah,
bring
right?
the cat.
in a backpack,
yeah.
There you go.
go
So-
great.
So Andrew, you mentioned his little connection before. Apparently, he linked together 82 4,000 meter peaks in the European Alps by bicycle, approximately 1,200 kilometers with 75,000 vertical meters over 19 days. So
Wow.
that's pretty crazy. So
Andrew, how long do you think it would have taken you to do that? 22 days?
There is no way. I do not have the alpine experience that Killian has. I think I
Mhm.
would have died on day one. I don't know.
All right.
I guess there's only one way to find out, but he
To
is
do
he
it.
is a freak of nature.
Well, the big question I have, Andrew, do you cut switchbacks whenever you set some
Yeah.
fastest known times or stuff like that? You don't, do you?
Generally, it's not advisable. It gets you in some hot water. Hot water, I've heard.
Yes.
So
So once before, Tad, I don't remember how many episodes we talked. It's probably last year. Michelino Sinceri found guilty in Grand Teton fastest known time switchback cutting trial. So just on September 2nd, he was accused of cutting a switchback to set the fastest known time going up with the highest peak in the Grand Tetons in 2 hours, 50 minutes, and 8 seconds. Fastest known time. But once again, when you do the fastest known times, you have to put in your data and stuff, and people noticed that he cut a switchback. And then apparently, cutting a switchback, I mean, it's a huge freaking deal with just fastest known times because everybody wants to do the same trail. They get the same thing done, and somebody wants to beat the next record and such. So cutting a switchback, like that, like totally doesn't, you totally blew the rules and stuff like that. But it got bigger and bigger. So, Tad, you said, cutting a switchback is a misdemeanor?
Yeah, well, just for clarity, though, he did this September 2024.
2024.
A year ago. And so since then, his case, because he was prosecuted for doing this, he not only got his fastest known time unallowed or disqualified, but he was prosecuted for this and then recently found guilty of the offense of cutting a switchback, which apparently is subject to a fine up to $5,000 or 6 months in jail. So, Andrew, what should his fine be? What do you proclaim that Michelino's fine should be? $5K, 6 months in jail, or something less?
Now, I've been following this case for a little bit, and it's just been fascinating. There's just so many layers to it. Um, I don't know how much your listeners pay attention to the FKT world, but the Grand Teton is super famous FKT. The likes of Killian even have done it. Jack Kunzel has taken a shot at it. There's been a lot of big names that have attempted it. And the switchback that he cut is probably more aptly described as he took the climber's route, or like the alpinist trail. The FKT officially follows the trail with the switchbacks up to the certain point where it cuts back in. But there's long been this unofficial climber's trail that has been used and was closed. And that's what he took on his FKT. And there's been a history of people taking it. Killian actually took this, he cut the switchback because he's European and that's European style. And he got flagged, and the FKT didn't go to him because he cut that switchback. He took the climber's trail, but he didn't end up with jail time or a fine.
True.
What I find kind of my problem with this is it sounds like he took the switchbacks on the way up, and on the way down, he made the decision to take the climber's trail, which he knew would be faster, and he knew had a history. I believe he knew had a history of like not being ratified as an FKT because it's technically not the trail. So I don't think that's the right call in that situation. Whether he should be facing jail time or a fine, I don't know. This has gotten, I can't believe it's a year later and it's still going on.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
Tad, a question. Like, who do you think, who's on the other side? Like, so there's Sinceri doing his trial, but who's prosecuting him?
My impression is it's a federal offense, so it either would have been in a U.S. district court somewhere in Wyoming, or maybe it's prosecuted as a local offense of a federal statute. I don't know those particulars, but one of my comments would be that apparently Killian did the same thing. It was well documented, and he wasn't fined or imprisoned, as I understand it. And so maybe that wasn't enough of a deterrent to keep others like Michelino from trying it. Or maybe we just shouldn't bother prosecuting offenses like this, and we should go after the people that are poaching animals and throwing out garbage and things of that nature in public lands.
Good point.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So, I mean, after all, they do have limited resources, and I find it amazing that they spent the better part of a year prosecuting somebody for cutting a switchback.
Yeah.
That apparently is well used by the climbing crowd, of which my daughter is one.
I mean, a lot of people have been like, it's crazy that he's faced serious consequences for this, that it's been done before. I mean, they maintained the trail. It was closed, but he went up it. So the one thing that I don't get is that he would actually submit that if he wanted the fastest known time, because he knew he did it.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm assuming that in preparation for his fastest known time attempt, that he had, previewed the way up and down. And so he should have picked this up and been aware of it. Or maybe he was, just too tired to recognize what he had done. I don't know. But what I do know is if they find him, and I think they should slam him with a $5,000 fine payable to inside the line. That's the verdict. That's the verdict.
What was that, Andrew?
I can use this to fund my version of Killian's project.
There you
go.
Right?
Let me have a cut of it.
Yeah, we'll give you a third. There's three of us.
Okay.
We'll cut it three ways.
Right.
That's
fair.
Sounds good.
I have a question, Andrew, kind of for you. So with this being like a fastest known time, and he cut a switchback. So this is a little odd. Like with doing fastest known times and stuff, do you have to follow that total perfect route? Or like is if there's a switchback and there's a bottom part and a top part, can you jump from like that top part to the bottom part? And you're like, I mean, I didn't go off trail, but I flew over the trail, over it and, cut off 3, 4 seconds of that, like, is that possible?
I think this is it's a confusing gray area. Um, I think this is probably more common on the West Coast where they have actual switchbacks. Um, like that exists in the Catskills, maybe in a few
So,
places.
Andrew, if I were to attempt, as I should, the fastest known time on the Grand Teton, are you saying I could base jump from
Yeah,
the
I
top
mean,
to the bottom?
true.
I mean, I think if you propose a new FKT category of fastest person to climb the Grand Teton and base jump off of it, I
Well,
mean,
there you
you could
go.
establish a new FKT here.
Yeah, with the cat.
But still, like, you have those little sections of these of where, that you can, like, there's like 3 or 4 feet and you can kind of like hop over it and it sort of looks like you did it, but it didn't like on a map. But like, I mean, that doesn't cut off like 8 seconds. Like it could cut off some time, but like, everybody's out there
Yeah,
recording their own stuff.
I think the more interesting conversation would be if he's guilty of taking an impermissible shortcut, should he be allowed any more FKT attempts?
That was my next question. I
'Cause
wonder if they're going to
yeah,
strip him of everything and be like, you can't do this anymore now.
yeah. Because they did that to Lance Armstrong. He was
True.
caught cheating. He admitted to cheating, and he was disbarred from further competition.
Yeah, who knows? We'll keep up with it. We have for a year. Who knows? It's going to go on for another freaking year. Waste either our federal taxpayer monies or Wyoming's taxpayer monies. Whoever.
Yeah.
It's freaking crazy. All right, so Andrew and Tad, thank you for shooting the shit. This is a little bit too long, but hey, I thought I had a fun time. So thank you to the monthly supporters, Jeff Jotz, Vicky Ferrer, Mikey S., Chris Garbian, John Comiskey, Summit Seekers, Desert City Radio, Betsy A., Denise W., Vanessa, Jim C., and Eric. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show. Really appreciate it. And also, this episode is sponsored by Another Summit, a branch of Guardian Revival. And this fall, they're inviting you to take part in something powerful, the 1 Mile Challenge. It has begun. It's simple. Walk, run, or hike a mile for a month in solidarity with our veterans and first responders. Each mile is a step toward raising awareness for mental health and suicide prevention. You can carry the weight or just carry the cause. The podcast is putting together a team, and we have some people on the team, Tracy and Joanne, thank you, help raise money and awareness, and we'd love to have you guys on board. Reach out to me to sign up and join our team and make every mile and every dollar count. So we have a pretty good so far. We're up to like 800 something. It's pretty good. We're 9 days in. So anybody wants to donate, reach out to me or go onto the page. It's in the link. Let's do this. So also, this episode is sponsored by Trailbound Project. Discover the wilderness with Trailbound Project. Our expert-led hiking and backpacking education programs offer unparalleled outdoor experiences. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned adventurer, join us to learn essential skills, explore stunning trails, and connect with nature. Start your journey today with Trailbound Project and unlock the wonders of the great outdoors. So the big question is, were you really outdoors? So mention the podcast or your hikes through social media and we'll chat about it on the show. Tag us by typing at ITL Catskill MTM podcast on your post. Just want to say, Kate Henderson, if you remember episode 184, she had that rescue episode where she got rescued off of Drybrook Ridge. She donated to the Forest Rangers Foundation. So that's how tight this community is. Freaking awesome. Thank you, Kate. I'm glad you're doing okay. Glad you got to share your experience of being rescued. It was a phenomenal episode. Everybody loved it. So thank you for donating to the Forest Ranger Foundation. Also, big one of the I would say this is the big one. Sean, aka Long Island Hiker, completed the Appalachian Trail recently. Finished on Katahdin, beautiful Bluebird Day, and it looks like he might be able to come and talk on the show for the first time in his 100 and I think it's 84-day journey.
Well, that'll be a short episode.
There we go. Well, Rachel Jean, the Gypsy Queen, was somewhere out in the wood, so it counts. She didn't say where. People don't give the location. I just don't even guess sometimes. Pink Pony 818 Tracy went off and did Twin Mountain. Ripped it up there. Beautiful place. My favorite views in the Catskills. Phenomenal. Catskill Mountain Bruce Scott was with Zorro and Eric doing Southwest Hunter, East Rusk, and Rusk. I would say that's called the Hunter Loop. With or without Westkill, you can do that. Called the Hunter Loop. Off in the woods, Sean went up Rusk on Saturday, then Wyndham High Peak on Sunday. He's up to 21 of his 3,500. He's getting there. Jim C. did a 6-mile run on Gilbert Lake State Park. Jim's ripping it up. Joanne, Beyond Blazes, did Plateau with a bike and hike. She said she was grateful for our episode, was right in time with her bike and hike because she didn't know how she felt going down 214, and she said she felt a little scared thinking that she was going to get hit by a car. So don't blame her. Is that bad, Tad? Is that a bad area?
I suppose in large part I might be the wrong person to ask because I've done a lot of road riding and I'm very comfortable riding on the roads next to traffic. And my experiences in the Catskills that the state roads generally have wider than average or normal shoulders on them. So I'm completely comfortable going down 28, 23, 28A, 23A, all those roads are okay. But I can understand somebody who doesn't ride on the road often, that would be grating on them doing that ride. But the more you ride, the more you get used to it. It doesn't minimize the risk. It just makes you more comfortable having cars whiz by. That's my assessment.
Yeah, good call.
But you also should have at least one taillight on your bike that's flashing, or two, because it calls attention to your bike because of the flashing light, and the probability is that the driver is going to be more alert of your presence and be inclined to give you more room. So definitely don't just rely on a reflector. Have a flashing LED light or two on the back of your bike.
Hell yeah.
That's
Good
my
advice.
pro tip.
Good. Thank you. So Farrell Hollows, aka Nigel, was up at Bramley Mountain with the family, enjoying the beautiful view in the fire tower up there. You met him last week, correct?
Yes. Yeah. Cool dude. And he's a fellow cyclist.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
These guys are overpopulating here. Stop.
Yeah.
I don't want to see you guys up. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. He was telling me he's raising money to bike and hike all the 14,000 footers in the country.
All right. I guess that's where our support is going next.
Yeah.
So also Jeff Johnson Orlo was out exploring state land in Morris County in the Bud Lake Fire Tower. That was in New Jersey, I believe. Looked pretty freshly painted and stuff. It looked actually great. And then recently, Sean Scion 72 was at the Rusa Gap Fire Tower. So is that anybody familiar with that?
Yes. Speaking of bikes in that fire tower, it's on, of all places, it's on Fire Tower Road, and I've ridden up to it many a time on my bike because it's a bike ride away from my house.
Nice. Ooh, we'll find you up there every day.
Yeah. And if you're interested in overnighting on the Schwangunk Ridge, you can camp there.
Oh. You're giving out too many details.
Yeah. You can't camp inside the preserve or in the state park on the range, but you can camp along that section. It's wonderful.
Cool. Awesome. Well, there you go, people. Also, so thank you everybody to tagging the show on your adventures and stuff like that. We love hearing about them. Keep doing it. Also, buy us a hard cider to support the show. If you think we're doing a good job and want us to show us some support, buy us a coffee, hides our hard cider on buymeacoffee.com. We've recently had someone who bought us 3 ciders, Tony and Franco, says he loves the diversity of the show and is always learning something new. Keep up the great work. Thank you for the hard ciders, Tony. Also, rate the show. If you can rate the show, do it on any platform, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or whatever platform it lets you. Usually 5 stars is the best. So, I mean, is usually just if you can do anything else, don't do it. So, all right. So, is anybody drinking anything? Andrew, what are you having to drink tonight, buddy?
I am drinking Aldi Mocktail Mojito.
Ooh,
That's not amazing. It's all right, but
it's not amazing.
it
So
might be better non-alcoholic. I don't know.
Oh, all right. So I guess that's not bad. So Tad, what about you, sir?
All right. Well, I'm ready to crack open a Bell's Porter, a robust porter from Bell's Brewing of Comstock, Michigan.
Interesting. Where'd you get that?
It's a fairly popular brewery, so it's available at most well-stocked beer stores, and that, in fact, is where I got it, at the local well-stocked beer store. But I haven't had a porter in quite a while. I've been drinking IPAs most of the summer. It's time to switch back to winter brew.
All right. Well, here's mine. Hold on. Doesn't have the fizz, but God, it's good. I am having a Course Hudson North cider donut.
Yeah, I bought Hudson North for my wife and I. We haven't had it yet.
What one?
We're gonna. I forget if it was the donut or it's one of their flavored ones. I thought we'd just give it a try. Well, one can. We're gonna split it like teenagers. Pretend
Nice.
we're young and dating again.
Nice. Andrew, now you're located over on like Eastern PA, correct?
Probably more south central, like
Okay.
2 hours west of Philly, an hour from Maryland.
Oh, wow.
What community? You're north of Harrisburg?
Just south.
Oh,
Oh,
So I'm in
okay.
Mechanicsburg, which is across the river from Harrisburg.
Oh, nice. I stayed there once when I did the Shenandoahs. We stayed in a tiny house outside of there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not a bad area. I mean,
There's some woods, there's some mountains. They're not as nice as the Catskills, but they get the job done.
yeah, definitely. I mean, I was just curious of what you're like. We're talking about, you had a mojito or stuff like that, and I was curious of what you have around there. If you have like, cider places like IPAs or what your
Yeah,
choice is.
we have some good breweries. Actually a fair number. Don't know of any good cider places though. So that cider, what were you drinking, Stash?
The Hudson North cider donut.
That sounds good.
It is. It is. On your way here, if you ever come back to the Catskills, find a local place. The Hudson North is all over the place here, so it's good stuff.
Good to know.
Yeah. So previous hikes. Who wants to go for? I mean, we got to go with Andrew. What have you been doing, Andrew? Any previous hikes you want to chat about in the past couple of weeks?
Last couple of weeks. Let's see.
Probably done like 25.
You can include trail runs in with that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll include a trail run, but it's hard for it to really be fully considered a trail run. I did most of. Can I talk about the Adirondacks on the Catskills podcast?
Absolutely
Yes, you
not.
can.
They don't exist.
Okay, all right. So I went up north past the Catskills and went up to the Adirondacks. This is probably about a month ago now, and did the Great Range Traverse up until Mount Haystack, where I got caught in a thunderstorm and was watching Marcy and Haystack get pummeled. And I waited an hour with some other hikers and decided that it was not clearing anytime soon, and continued back down through the Johns Brook Trail all the way down through the valley, listening to all the mountains around me get pummeled by lightning. So I almost did all of it, but it was like a 22, 23-mile day with close to 9,000 feet, even cutting out Marcy and Haystack. So that was a good day. Although it's hard to consider it running because it's the Adirondacks and they're just absolutely heinous everywhere. So I'll call that a hike.
What was the projected length that it was totally towards if you would have finished?
So I had to connect with a road, like a mile and a half, 2 miles of road. So it should have been, if I had finished, in like the 25, 26 mile range. I was really just missing 2 summit tags, which was frustrating. I'd been up on Marcy before in the winter on skis, but it was in a total whiteout, so I saw nothing. And then the second time I was up here, naturally, I don't see anything and don't even get the summit. But it was a great day in the mountains, so I can't complain too much.
Well, that's good. Well, good call of bailing out. That's some rain and lightning, especially on an open summit. It's pretty good choice.
Yeah, I think I made the right call there. I passed many hikers that were waiting it out, and yeah, I think it would have cleared if you had waited long enough. But it was one of those things where I waited for an hour, and then it didn't make sense to wait anymore, and it was time to go. I was running out of nerd gummy clusters, so I was worried I was going to start getting hangry, and that's a bad thing on top of a mountain. So I got out of there.
Good point. Very good point. So awesome. That's I would say that's getting out there. That's a good previous hike, I would say. 22 miles. Jesus. I feel like, and how long, I mean, were you guys had a group that was well paced and stuff like that? Like, what was your overall time in 22 miles?
I want to say like elapsed time was like 7.5 hours.
Jesus.
So I was by myself. I took the inReach and just went solo. Didn't see a single person for the first 5 hours or so. But I was moving at a good clip. It was hiking, but I was moving at a good clip. So
yeah,
it's just crazy terrain up there, kind of like the Catskills. Just not, in my opinion, not quite as fun.
there we go. There we go. So Ted, what about you, sir?
I really have a hard time talking about my hike after Andrew. We're talking about his 22 miles up in the ADK, 9K of feet. So Saturday, given the forecast, I had all week long last week, I was like ramping up to do something fun and interesting, multiple mountains, few trails, if any, involved. But the weather forecast didn't shift in a way that would make that hike sensible. So I decided to do a quick and easy standby, which is just cruise over to the Slide Mountain parking area, which had very few cars at around 8 o'clock when I got there. And I set out to hike up Slide via the Curtis Ormsby Trail. It never disappoints. It kind of had that pre-fall color and vibe going on. On my way out, I passed a little mother and daughter team out hiking. They were undecided which way they were going to go up Slide. And it occurred to me later on in the hike, because I didn't run into them again, that they probably didn't make it to the summit of Slide. But all the way up to the summit, I didn't see anyone hanging out at the summit of Slide. I kind of contemplated whether I'd push over to Cornell or not, but my sense was that the air pressure was dropping pretty quick and that the storm was rolling in. But as I was thinking that over, 6 trail runners came to the summit of Slide. They took a little break there. They were talking about training for a Catskill marathon that's coming up. And they were setting out to continue on to Cornell and Wittenberg. And so as I left, they were leaving. And I just made my way down the Jeep Trail, which was fantastic for at least the upper mountain part. And then I ran into some runners on my, or not runners, but hikers on my way down. Notably, 6 campers were on their way up as I was going down. And I jokingly asked them if they were prepared to overnight with the rain coming. And they assured me they were, with their shiny and somewhat brand new looking backpacking gear. So I made my way down to my trusty Jeep, hopped in the Jeep, and probably by the time I got to the hairpin turn, it was raining. And by the time I got to 28, it was like a torrential downpour. I somewhat contemplated whether I should build an ark and grab animals in groups of 2 and put them in the ark and prepare to hunker down for the next 40 days and 40 nights. But instead, I went over to Local Goods and picked up a pretty tasty beer from Union Street Brewing out of Hudson, New York. It was titled 10 Days Perfect Tunes, a Pilsner. So I hung out there and listened to the rain hitting the tin roof over the porch, and then left. I did swing by Maves. You know where Maves is on 28?
Yes, that's the place past the Phoenicia Diner and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's in the right plaza. Yeah, it's in the plaza with Woodstock Brewing.
Yes.
Maves Place is now closed.
What?
Yeah, they closed sometime in June. I had been driving by and seeing that it looked somewhat like suspect that nobody was in there, and I wanted to get over there and get a cup of coffee this weekend. And yep.
Like closed for good?
They are closed under the name of Mabes. I don't know if they're selling to somebody, if they're out of business and somebody's going to buy their equipment, but it looks like everything was getting ready to be moved out of the location, which is sad. That woman from the Catskill Watershed Corporation had fondly recounted how that Mabes was one of their grant programs that they had helped fund. And it was a fun little place to go into and get something interesting to eat. Their coffee was better than average. And, the atmosphere was nice. And you could get Wi-Fi there where there was no cell service outside. So sadly, Mabes is now a thing of the past. But let me say it rained for the longest time up there. And I really wonder how those 6 campers made out on what looked like to be their first overnight camping trip.
Okay. I mean, did their gear look like suitable enough for the occasion? Like you said, brand new. Was it like Walmart brand new, or was it like something of a respectable nature?
Well, in the limited time I had to inspect their gear, I did make them take their backpacks off and dump everything on the trail. And I went over the 10 essentials with them and gave them a rundown on how to administer CPR and a tourniquet and pitch a tent in a hailstorm and all of those things. But my time was limited to really take stock of where they bought their stuff from. But I think with the smiles they had on their face and the proximity to a camping area from where they were on slide, I know they got wet on their way over. But I'm pretty sure they made it down the other side of slide and got onto the trail over to Cornell and probably had a set up camp in a torrential downpour. So, and there was apparently no rescues reported up there over the weekend.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it couldn't have been so bad for them. And I doubt they got lost and made their way over to Rocky and start the fire. So.
Especially in that. Well, we need it. We needed the freaking rain. It seems like it didn't do shit, but.
Yeah, but I'm glad I got out of there when I did, because I couldn't even think of how awful it would have been to wade across the west branch of the Neversink without a bridge, given that rainfall. That water just flooded that whole area, and I for sure would have gotten my hiking shoes wet crossing it. Again, reinforcing the need for the DEC to throw down a couple $100,000 on a suspension bridge across that part of the Catskills.
Nice.
Maybe with an espresso machine on one end, a panini press That would be cool because you could then take your Cliff Bars and put some magic mushrooms in between them and make a panini mushroom.
True.
Yeah.
True.
And then head over to Giant Ledge.
Yeah.
And let the fun begin.
Yeah. So, yeah, well, that's good. Glad you got out. I mean, whatever. So, today I went up to do my trail maintenance. So a couple of weeks ago, I got told that my area was a little overgrown. So I had no time to go out and get it. And I'm just like, I mean, it's a trail, but it can't be that bad. So I got up nice. I wouldn't say nice and early. Had enjoyed the morning, and then I set up to go up to Barnum Road all the way up to Thomas Cole. I mean, that's pretty significant hike. It's like going up all the way up to Thomas Cole. It's like 2,100 feet of gain. So it's a beast of a hike, and it's a beautiful hike. It's got
Andrew's nodding his head up and down, but not that convincingly. That 2,100 feet is a beast of a hike, but okay, you can continue. Yeah, you can continue,
Hey,
Stosh.
that's more than I did today. So
okay,
well, thanks. Hey, see, he makes me feel good. All right. So, I mean, it was a beautiful day. It was like 70 degrees with winds, 5 to 10 miles an hour. It was just fantastic, beautiful day. Got up to Campbell's Hump, got all my gear out and got ready. I start descending down the mountain, and usually where it's overgrown, it wasn't. And I keep going down, and I'm just like, oh, there's a little vine here. Okay, I'll cut that off. Oh, there's a little tree branch hanging here. I'll cut that off. Go the whole freaking thing. I had to do the bare minimal, absolutely like no maintenance. And I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? I'm just
so
like,
is it your definition of overgrown is different than the people that gave you this report? What accounts for people saying it was overgrown then?
I would say overgrown is kind of like everything's touching you when you don't have like width, like you put your hands down and stuff is scratching you. That's what I do. And I try to like, you have to do like, maybe like a foot off of the trail. So once again, your hands or stuff, your poles and stuff. But I mean, what their definition, they didn't really give me pictures or they just said it was overgrown. So I went up there being a good person and I had to do fucking sorry. I had to do bare minimal. And of course, going up that way, the views are freaking gone now. So I have Camel's Hump, which overviews Wyndham High Peak and part of the Escarpment and the Long Path, which is not bad. But, I could have gone up on Twin Mountain in the Devil's Path or something, or gone over to whatever and done this. And I go over and to do my trail maintenance thinking that I got to do a lot of work because it is usually that area between Campbell's Hump and Thomas Cole. Like there's just a certain small section that's just overgrown because it sees a lot of sun and it gets a lot of water. But nope, nothing. Not really nothing, but.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, that's interesting that it wasn't overgrown, but then looking back, I think we had up until this weekend a really, really long dry spell in the Catskills.
We did. So what would have, I mean, they still would have been there.
Things overgrowing up there.
Yeah, that's like nobody would have clipped them down. They wouldn't have hanged. Like I saw no like vines or something like prickers or stuff like that hanging over that would cause you to be like, man, I can't stand this.
Yeah.
Like,
and so who did this report come from? Was it an official report or was it just something that you heard on Facebook?
On Facebook, Catskill Trail Conditions.
Huh.
And usually I trust that, but now
I would double back and reach out to the person that left that trail report and try to get a better understanding. Maybe they were referring to another segment of the trail that they were on and not this.
I had that conversation with them and I was just like,
did you? Okay.
Yeah. Even, when you're going from like Camel's Hump down to Claudel's Hill, there's like nettles galore all over there. And I'm like, you're probably referring to that. And they're like, no. It was from Camel's Hump to Thomas Cole. I'm like, okay. So I got out. That's all I care. I got out and I enjoyed that. Just the sunshine and the wind and everything. And I found a new viewpoint, by the way. I'll have to show you over on below Claudel's Hill and stuff like that.
So what were the colors like up there? Were any of the leaves starting to change?
Oh
Were
God,
leaves falling
don't
down,
ask
or
me that. It's too
no?
early.
Too early? I thought I saw some color this past weekend.
No, I don't want to.
And the other thing, I don't know if it's too premature to say this now or not, but here it is, mid-September. I've gone all season without a tick.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I think that's good. Now
Yeah.
watch, this coming weekend, I'll probably like step into some tick honey hole and have to be airlifted out because of, all the ticks because I've jinxed myself. But some
Now
years you end up getting your blood tested a couple times, it seems. But this year I've been lucky.
Yeah. I mean, I saw color. It's starting to be like that cinnamon color, which kind of got me depressed because I don't want to be done with summer because I kind of think half of my summer was robbed kind of due to the humidity and the wildfire smoke. So I'm a big view guy. So I want views, I want something to be like take my breath away. And I go up and the whole freaking Catskills are obscured by wildfire smoke and humidity and like trying to trudge up this mountain and shedding off 5,000 calories in a mile kind of kills you. But then like, today going up there and I got a little bit of a view and I'm just like, God, this is just absolutely fantastic. I'll take 80 degrees with a little bit of breeze over 92 degrees with freaking wildfire smoke and humidity. I'm like, I was robbed this year. I will say that.
So how about you, Andrew? How does the humidity impact or not impact your trail running and training?
Oh, humidity makes a huge impact on training, running. We in college we called it poor man's altitude training. It's just heat and humidity. And I mean, there's some science backing that up. But yeah, good. Just that feeling of going out in the summertime on a hike, on a run, and you come back and you're convinced that you went swimming instead of hiking or running. It just drains you, takes a lot out of you. So
you have
humidity's brutal.
any pro tip in terms of, hydration, electrolytes, anything like that to share with us?
I mean, everybody's sweat is different, but I've definitely learned that I need a lot more salt and electrolytes than maybe I think. And also that a lot of like sports drinks like Gatorade, or even like powders and stuff don't actually have that much sodium or salt in it. And if you're exercising at a moderate to high level, then just having Gatorade or something isn't actually doing very much if you're losing 1,000, 1,500 milligrams worth of sodium per liter of sweat. And there's maybe, I don't know, 100 milligrams in a big thing of Gatorade. Like you're not replacing anything. So,
wow.
What do you use then? What do you supplement with?
I use a variety of things. I mean, for like day to day, I use a lot of Noon, which is kind of just like a fizzy sports drink. In races and for really humid conditions, I'm using usually Scratch hydration, which has some carbs in it. So it's a little bit more sugary. They have like great flavors. It's pretty much just sugar, electrolytes, salt. But you have like 400 milligrams of sodium per 500 milliliters of water. It tastes great. And then I'll add salt tabs on top of it in like pill form. So, I mean, in Escarpment, I'll get to this later probably, but I was doing Scratch, high carb, with Noon in it, plus salt tabs. So I was getting
no shit.
Was it still liquid?
I know it's a little bit like sludge towards the bottom.
Wow.
But I was getting close to 900 milligrams of sodium per hour and didn't cramp. So
Wow.
made a big difference.
Fantastic.
So
Not
you
that you should go around drinking that normally. That might not be
so
great.
but you
But
mix all of this in fluids. You don't pop like electrolyte pills
I
independent.
do,
Okay.
yeah. So I have what I put in my fluid, but I also will throw back some salt pills for sure.
Mhm.
Right.
Grind them up with
Crazy.
my teeth. Maybe snort them if I really need it.
Snort them. Now, do you take them with
Yeah,
mushrooms or without mushrooms?
only if I'm at Giant Ledge.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
then
Gotcha.
just to
So where
keep
were you
search and
on
rescue
August
on their toes.
where were you on August 29th
I can't remember.
at 5 p.m.? Were you debilitated?
I
Were you
just
experiencing a
no
debilitating
recollection
high? Don't
whatsoever.
admit anything. Don't admit anything. Take the fifth.
Yeah. Take the fifth. All right. So Catskill News volunteer once again, New York, New Jersey Trail Conference, 3500 Club, Catskill Trail Crew, Catskill Mountains Club, Visitor Center, Jolly Rovers Trail Crew. Volunteer wherever you can. Once again, New York, New Jersey Trail Conference is doing a Trailthon fundraiser starting October 1st to the 31st. Signups are now live, and there is going to be a link in the show notes. There it is. Set a personal mileage goal, log your miles anywhere, and you can get some free merch. So check it out. Weather forecast. It looks to be a fantastic weekend. And it might be getting cooler, but I don't think it's getting that cool to where we'll need extra gear. But this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday looks to be a little rain on Saturday. But other than that, temperatures are ranging from high 40s to the like high 50s. So it looks to be mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies, except for a little bit of rain on the middle of Saturday. So it looks to be an amazing weekend so far. Once again, we are recording on Tuesday, so this might not be accurate, but it's pushing to look like a good weekend to get out. So, September 27th. We'll talk about that next episode. Bow season, September 27th to December 7th. Let's not go out there wearing deer costumes. All right. So, Jesus, that was the last bit. That was great. Let's get to the last set of sponsors, and then we'll get on to you, Andrew. So, discover Camp Catskill in Tannersville, your ultimate hiking store. Find top quality gear, apparel, and accessories for all your outdoor adventures. Our expert staff is here and help every hiker from beginners to seasoned pros. We also carry a variety of unique Catskill souvenirs and gifts. Visit us online at campcatskill.co or in the store to gear up for your next journey. Adventure starts at Camp Catskill. Also, capture your love story against breathtaking backdrops with Outdoor Chronicles photography. Molly specializes in adventure couple photography, and she'll immortalize your moments amidst the stunning landscapes of the Catskills, Adirondacks, and White Mountain. She'll craft timeless images that reflect a unique bond in nature's grandeur. Embark on an unforgettable photographic journey with Outdoor Chronicles photography. Don't hesitate to get a hold of Molly on all platforms. All right, so let's get on to the guest of the night.
Let's go.
So, Andrew Hutchinson joins us tonight to talk about his Escarpment Trail Run. He was the winner of the 2025 Escarpment Trail Run. Now, they have been doing that for how long? This was is it seven? No, not 70th. It's like their 50-something year, right? 40?
Or 47?
47th. Okay, I was going to say 57th. But yeah, their 47th year of doing the Escarpment Trail Run. And I just find that absolutely fascinating that they've been doing this after 47 years. And I would say it keeps getting better and better and faster. That's what I say. So, Andrew, thanks for joining the show. Hope you had a good time shooting the shit. And, glad to have you on here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, let's talk all about you. So, how about you a little background about yourself before we get into your stats for your Escarpment Trail Run?
Yeah. So I was born and raised in Western Massachusetts, so a little bit closer to the Catskills than I am now. Yep. So grew up there. Ran cross country in middle school and high school. Was in the Boy Scouts, so got outside a lot. Really enjoyed hiking and running and mountain biking and skiing and just all kinds of outdoor activities. Yeah, so I grew up in Western Massachusetts and then ended up going to college at Messiah University, which is outside of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And yeah, went there for 4 years, ran cross country and track for them, which was great. Really loved doing that. I was a music education major there, which was also very fun. And then graduated 2.5 years ago. And since then have been teaching and coaching at a school down here in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Yeah. And that's kind of a little background.
So, I mean, basically starting out as a scout, you of course get into nature right away. They kind of force you into nature. So,
Oh
um,
yeah.
so now what like got you into the hiking world? How did you get into it over in Massachusetts and stuff?
Yeah. I mean, so growing up, I mean, I'd go on hikes. I was fortunate enough to live next to a lot of trails. I mean, I don't know if you're familiar with the Mount Holyoke Range. Um, it's not huge, but yeah, it was 10 minutes from my house. Honestly, some terrain similar to the Catskills. It's fairly technical, very punchy. The biggest climb is probably only 700 feet, maybe 800, but constantly up and down. Cool views of kind of the valley. So I'd go out with my family growing up, and then, I mean, from being a Boy Scout from, I don't know, 11, 12 years old, we'd go on lots of hikes, spend a lot of time camping and backpacking, and yeah, just ended up on trails. And I was also running. Um, and I didn't really put it together until like the end of high school, of where I'd be going for these hikes and I'd be like, man, it'd be kind of cool to like run uh, some of this. It'd be so much faster. I could see so much more. So I started to do some running on places I normally would hike. And then I was also like, wow, I can also hike while trail running and like kind of mix it up. And it's like a hybrid hiking and running, because you can't run everything on trails. So I ended up getting more in the hiking, trail running kind of as I was maybe a senior in high school, and then got into college. And yeah, I've just always loved mountains, always been a huge mountain sports enthusiast. Grew up skiing downhill. I did ski racing, mountain biked, did some mountain bike racing through high school. Yeah, just love being outdoors and love mountain sports and exercise. So,
So were you like following any people that did like trail running and stuff like that? Now I mean, that's a tough thing to go from hiking to trail running. You know, I've tried that and I've given up completely because like my knees are shot. I'm 40 years old. But like were you like any of your friends or stuff like that also trail running influence you to get into trail running, or just like screw this, I'm gonna freaking try this myself?
it was kind of a combination. I, I think I kind of just fell into it a bit with already being a runner, and having so much access to trails. Like I can run from the house I grew up in. I could run on hundreds of miles of trails with very little road link up, and they aren't all spectacular trails, but I could just run. So I was already doing a lot of stuff on trails, and then I could just gradually got into running on some more technical and bigger mountains for the area. And then I was on Strava, and this is kind of more. So my freshman year of college was first year of COVID. So I got sent home in the spring. I had been training really hard all fall and early winter for the track season, and got sent home. And I was on Zoom classes, and I was on Strava in my Zoom classes. Don't tell my teachers. Uh, but I would go and look up these Strava segments and see what the segment times were. And I I would then, when my classes were done, I'd I'd get in the car and I'd drive up the road to the trail, and I'd just go and hammer these segments around my house. And I very quickly kind of made some enemies that turned into friends in the in the trail running community up in Massachusetts, because I'd go out and steal all these segments from people. And it was during COVID, so nobody was really running together. But we had a fun time battling over these segments, and later years, kind of after some restrictions lifted, I got pretty connected into the trail running community up there, and still stay in touch with people. The guy who finished second, Steve Kerr, he lives in Portland, Maine now, but he was another Western Mass local that we'd steal segments back and forth and run together and stuff. So it was kind of a little mini reunion at Escarpment, running with him.
Nice.
So, Andrew, before we dive into the Escarpment trail run, I take it you've been trail running competitively, if you will, for pretty much the last 4 or 5 years. And I just wonder, what has been your worst trail running injury, if at all, and how did it happen? And I ask you this because what I mentioned during my previous hike, I was on the top of a slide and those 6 trail runners came across the top and hung out for a while. They were talking about their trail running injuries, and I found it very interesting that they all had the same injury. So let me hear what your worst injury was and how it happened.
Runners love to tell stories about their injuries. It's oftentimes a mile long, and we like to be gruesome. I wish I had a more exciting injury. I guess I kind of have one. One like kind of one-off. I don't even know what's exciting. When I was kind of first getting into trail running, I was running a lot on just really rocky trails and trying to run fast, especially downhill. And I absolutely destroyed my ankle. One of those, like, you roll it and you feel stuff kind of tear and hear pops and stuff.
Yikes.
And one of those. And I probably took like a week off. And then I came back the run-in, and my ankle was, I think I kind of tore some tendons that now are just no longer attached properly. My ankle kind of clicks a little bit, and I haven't really had issues with ankle rolling anymore. So I'm thinking that maybe I just had to like destroy my ankle once, and now I'm bulletproof from ankle rolling. I need to find some wood to knock on real quick. Okay, knocked on wood. But I'd say that the big injury is I have Achilles tendonitis really bad, to the point where I now have part of my Achilles tendon is calcified. So there's literally bone growing on the back of my heel. Wow. And the only way to get rid of it is surgery. But the surgery could result in less function of my Achilles and takes like a year to recover from. So I'm just going to run until I can't anymore and then get the surgery. So
yeah. Well,
Didn't we have somebody on previously who was just like, no, don't do that? I thought we had somebody on previously. It was just like, don't do it. Don't, like, get it fixed and then get on. I forgot who was on.
yeah, well, I think a lot of factors go into making that decision, but I tend to agree with Andrew. Sometimes it's best to just keep using it until it's junk and then go in and have them fix it and take some time off. And I subscribe to that theory of
Use and abuse.
Yeah. At my age, I'm accustomed to saying, look, I got a lot of miles on my chassis, and I'm kind of happy that I do have the aches and pains that I have, because I had a fun life doing things.
Hell yeah.
So, I don't know. Why don't we go back to you, Stosh?
So let's talk about the Escarpment run. So what got you into doing this Escarpment one? What grabbed your attention? Is this your first time, by the way?
this was my first time.
Oh, wow. Jesus.
Yeah.
1 for 1.
Yeah.
So what grabbed your attention of it?
Yeah, so I have known about escarpment for a long time, kind of back from my time back in Massachusetts. I had friends that had run it before, heard all kinds of things about it. I wasn't exactly sure what my season was gonna be for trails this year. It was a world championship year for trails, which is USATF sanctioned, and that's only every other year. So they had national championships in June. So I raced both of those. One was up at in Sunapee, New Hampshire, and the other was out in Lake Tahoe, California. So most of my season was centered around training for those. I had raced Heiner, which is a local race down here in Pennsylvania, back in April, and ran into I think it's Danielle. I forget her last name. She's coached by Dick, the RD of Escarpment, and she was doing some trying to drum up interest for the race. And I was talking to her and some different people, and I looked at the calendar and said, "Hey, yeah, you know what? I'll put my name in the hat for Escarpment." I've heard a lot about it. I love the Catskills. I had done Catskill Marathon last fall and absolutely loved it. It suits my running style, so I decided to jump in and see what happened. I didn't have anything else in July, so.
So the Cat's Tail and the Escarpment, is that all you've done in the Catskills, or are you like a official 35er and stuff like that?
That is all I have done.
Oh
I
wow.
have done Cat's Tail, I've done Escarpment, and I've done, well, before Cat's Tail, I did one run where I did Slide and Cornell and Wittenberg and
Nice.
back, and that was it. So I've officially ran in the Catskills 3 times.
Oh,
Two of them were races.
you got so much more to explore, man. I can't wait to hear about it.
Yeah, it's great.
So your overall time was 2 hours, 49 minutes and 58 seconds, correct?
It's either 58 or 59. I don't know
Oh,
which one.
oh, well, 16 minutes, 16 seconds ahead of Steve. Um, I mean, that's I would say pretty fast. I'm pretty sure you finished all that, which is what is it, 20, what is it, 24.5 miles?
It's 18 miles.
Oh, 18 miles. Oh, sorry. Sorry, I
Yeah.
got all the results and stats wrong. So 18 miles in 2 hours, 48 minutes, 58 seconds. I did 6 miles in 3 hours and 6 minutes today. So, yeah, Andrew, congratulations on your win. As you know,
Thanks.
this is once again, Ted, you brought this up and I was a little curious of this, like a hockey background. So do you play hockey?
Yep. So I played
Oh
professionally
shit.
at oh, it says Carolina Hurricanes. The
Oh,
hockey team
he's
I don't know. Yep, back in 2006, I was 5 years old, and I actually won the Stanley Cup too.
Wow,
So
5 years.
that's
that's
my hockey
mighty
background.
impressive. That's
Oh man.
or was that your cousin Andrew Hutchinson
Not
or
as far
uncle?
as I know.
No,
Um,
yeah,
my dad's pretty good at some pond hockey. I actually had an ice rink in my backyard, so I I can play a little bit of hockey, but
got you.
have not won the Stanley Cup, so
You had me there.
can't
I
claim
was just
that.
like, this guy doesn't even look old enough to be like that 2006. And then I'm just like, oh shit, he might give me a jersey or something, a signed jersey.
Yeah, it's the headphones that gives them that serious. I'm here for the business side of this.
Exactly,
So,
exactly.
Jesus, crazy. That was well done, Tad, on your.
well, yeah, I was trying to do a little reconnaissance on this guy,
You
and
found out he was a
yeah, and
freaking.
I found there's somebody with the same name who was a professional hockey player, but Andrew really threw me the curveball when he showed up tonight with his cat live on screen. I don't see your cat hanging with you now. But let's in terms of the escarpment, can anybody sign up and run the escarpment? Do you have to qualify for it? If you have to qualify, what are the qualifications? How does Stosh and I get
Yeah, right.
into the escarpment for number 2026?
Yeah.
So I hear if you just pay Dick a lot of money, he'll let you
Mhm.
in. I don't know
Okay.
what it is, but
Uh-huh.
or he might accept other forms of payment. I don't know, but I believe that the qualifications, it's I think 4 hours something in the marathon on a road.
Mhm.
So you have to run a decently have to have had run a decently fast road marathon or finished a trail race greater than 50K or greater, so 31 miles, or finished the Escarpment Trail previously in, I believe, under 6 hours. Those might not be exactly right, other than you can pay Dick a lot of money and you can get in. So
And how
keep that
much
in
is
mind.
that sum of money that we have to gather to pay Dick?
I hear that however much Killian is spending on his 14ers project,
Gotcha.
that Dick will accept that much. So
I
Mhm.
just want to get free water at these aid stations or stuff, or whatever the hell they give out. Like, just get up there and be like, oh, I don't have to pay for this? Sweet.
Yeah. So, but speaking of water, aid stations, and all of that, Andrew, you had never been on the escarpment trail before. Is that true?
that is correct.
So, how did you know what to expect? And what did you bring, or how did you know what to bring to prepare yourself for 18 miles in under 3 hours on the escarpment trail?
Yeah. Um, so I really didn't know exactly what to expect. I knew from doing Cat's Tail, which goes up and over Slide, Cornell, Wittenberg, and also it does Panther uh, as well.
Mhm.
Um, so I was familiar with the Catskills a bit in the terrain and kind of what to expect, and I knew more or less how I could run over the terrain. I didn't know how different escarpment would be. Um, and then I kind of did a deep dive into other people that had run it before, kind of compared some, like if somebody had done like a race that I had done before and we had competed head to head and what time they finished in on a escarpment gave me kind of a rough idea of maybe what I was capable of. So I figured probably around 3 hours or under would be about what I could expect. And then I didn't really know exactly if it would be plus or minus, but I figured that would be a good benchmark. And then yeah, I got some efforts in that were similar. Well, honestly, my training for this was maybe not as great as other races, or I would have preferred. But I got in maybe two efforts that were around the 2.5, 3 hour mark before the race with similar elevation profiles, and just practice nutrition before the race to make sure I was in decent enough shape to tackle escarpment.
Do you like go on maps and stuff like that and look at the terrain, like the elevation gain and stuff like that, and be like, like I might have to do like calculate your times going up this certain elevation gain is a certain mile and stuff, or did you just basically say like, screw it, I can rip this up?
Yeah, I mean, so it's a little hard to get a true, like, I don't know, one-to-one training stimulus for escarpment down here in Pennsylvania. I can get 1,000 foot climb.
Okay.
And we have some, like, they're not Catskills technical, but there's plenty of rocky, rooty trails that I can run on. So I'd more so focused on, okay, I know that there's going to be about 5,000 feet of gain in escarpment over 18 miles. I'm going to go for a run where I'm going to try and get close to 5,000 feet of gain, which if I just go up and down a few more times, then maybe I wouldn't have like the escarpment has longer climbs, is what I'm saying. But I'd get a similar stimulus training wise for escarpment because I know, hey, I can run for 3 hours, 18 miles with 5,000 feet of gain in training. Even if the terrain's not the same, I know that I have the capability to do it on paper. Just have to show up on the day.
You guys are beast. That's all I gotta say. Tad, this could be your question about gear. You love to ask about gear. That's a question I have all the time too, as well.
Yeah. So for our trail running listeners, what what gear did you bring? What'd you have going on for shoes? Did you have a pack? Were you carrying water? Were there aid stations to get water at? What was your gear package like, and what'd you have on your feet?
Yeah. I'm a bit of a gearhead. I love gear. I spent a lot of time working in outdoor retail in high school and college. So I can nerd out about this all night long. So for shoes, I really like VJ shoes, which I don't know if you're familiar with. I believe they're a Finnish or Swedish brand.
VJ.
VJ.
Interesting. Never heard of that.
They by far have the best, well, their hashtag, like their slogan is best grip on the planet. And I'm normally not one to buy into that, but I've used them for every trail race I've done over the last 2 years, and they're just phenomenal. I didn't slip a single time in escarpment. Well, I slipped once, and it was taking a really sharp turn that I didn't expect on a wet slab of smooth rock towards the end. But other than that, I mean, it was a wet day, rock solid, foot placement everywhere. So VJ Max on my feet. And then I went with a belt. I use a naked belt, which it's a pretty small, it's just a waist belt with 3 pockets. And then I was carrying 4 gels, mostly Science and Sport Beta Fuel gels, a packet of like 8 salt pills, and then 2 water bottles, soft flasks, with the Scratch High Carb and Noon combination. And that's it. I was definitely would not do this if it wasn't a race, because that is not exactly showing respect to the mountains that I was running in. But there's lots of people out on the course, there's aid stations, and I was comfortable traveling light and fast through the mountains. But wouldn't do that ordinarily on a hike or run through the Catskills. Travel with a few more essentials.
So, but before we move on from the gear, the VJ shoe, is that for a narrow foot, a medium width, wide foot? What width is that? Or in the toe box, because I know a lot of people have questions about the width of a shoe. So where does the
Yes.
VJ fall in the spectrum?
Yeah, so that's the one thing about their shoes, and they're trying to get better at it. They are more of a narrow, I'd say, performance fit. Their background is in obstacle course racing. They give you an idea. So they're all about grip, durability, performance. I find them comfortable. Some people think they're not the most comfortable shoes, but I'm mostly looking for performance and grip, and those deliver. So they're a bit narrow. Some of their models you have to size up a half size, but their newest shoe, which is the VJ Ultra 3, I haven't gotten my hands on it yet, but it has a slightly wider toe box, I believe. But it's not going to be like an Ultra or Topo or Hoka toe box. It's a bit more narrow than that. So definitely for somebody with narrower feet, or somebody looking for insane grip and more performance fit, but maybe not the most comfortable for a 10-hour epic in the mountains.
So that's more the shoe is more of I wouldn't say short distance, but you're trying to fly, you're trying to get by, and you want more grip, you want more speed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I was out in California in June, and I've really only had those shoes with me, and I was fine hiking for 7 or 8 hours out there. Would it be the shoe that I would choose for that? No, probably not, but it worked.
Okay.
So really, really for people looking for grip.
Yeah, that's a big question, a lot of people have, a lot of people go with the lower profile shoes, like Solomon and stuff like that. It looks like VJ is got a little bit more height to it, to more of a kind of
Hmm.
like an ankle stability as well, compared to some other people that just wear freaking, it feels like they wear socks with grips on it at sometimes when
Yep.
they do these runs. And like I saw your shoe and I was like, oh wow, that actually looks normal compared to what some people run with, where they just run with basically socks with super good grip. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
for
So
sure.
so after doing this, well, not after, well, after doing this, what part did you find the toughest part of the escarpment run?
So this is a difficult question. All of it is very hard. Um,
Good.
I think personally, the most difficult part was going up to Stopple Point, kind of at the end in the last third of the race. It's the last bigger climb, and it has a lot of false summits on it. It's kind of rolling, and I would say the climb up the Blackhead is brutal. It's very steep, and I was prepared for that, and just kind of knew, hey, it's going to be a grind. I'm gonna yeah, it's going to be a mile of pain and I'm just going to go. But I got the stopple and it's not as steep. It's more rolling and you can run decently fast up it. And my legs were starting to feel it a bit at that point. So I was kind of struggling coming up stopple point, but that's my personal answer. I would say I think that the climb up Blackhead might be the most difficult part on the course, but stopple was tough for me in the race.
Yeah, I would say the blackhead is difficult within like I would say a statistics area and technicality, but you're right.
Yes.
Going from Dutcher's Knot up with Stopple, I have a feeling a lot of people don't really recognize that the steepness of that area. Dutcher's Knot on either side. I mean, what did you think coming from Arizona down to Dutcher's Knot? That's steep as heck, isn't it? Going
Yeah.
into that little col is pretty crazy.
Yeah, there's all kinds of, I mean, I think if you look at the course map, you'll see, oh, there's the climb up Wyndham. That's a big climb, and then there's the climb up Blackhead and coming down from that. And those look like, oh, those are the big features. But I was surprised by there's lots of maybe not quite as large in terms of elevation, but just some kind of punchy sections that were rather difficult. So yeah, it kept me on my toes for sure.
Well, so it kept you on your toes, but as you're doing the descent off of Arizona, and we know that you finish about 6 minutes ahead, which is more than a half a mile, right?
True.
The nearest competitor. But where were you when you're coming down Arizona relative to the other competitors? Were you in the lead? Were you running with people? Were others ahead of you? What's going on is when you're coming off? Well, how about when you're going up Blackhead? Did you know you were in the lead? Were you not in the lead? What's going on at that segment?
Good question.
Yeah. Um, so I took, let's see. So going up Wyndham, start of the race, you start in waves.
Mm-hmm.
So the first wave was 15 guys, and we're kind of all together going up Wyndham. Steve and I'm gonna forget his name now. Timmy Parr from Colorado they were in the front. They were tearing my legs off on that first climb. But yeah, I kept him in sight. I was kind of in third up into the top. Steve actually stopped at the aid station at the top of Wyndham, and I pulled a fast one on him and ran behind him when he was filling up his water bottle and gave him a tap on the back and said, "See you at the bottom." And that was the last time I saw him, actually. Um,
Oh,
Badass.
I felt a little bad about it. But I kind of chased Timmy down off of Wyndham and he had a bit of a gap on me, but I knew I was descending, probably going to descend better than he was. And I caught him, and we kind of duked it out for the next maybe 3 miles until either the second or third aid station. He stopped. He wasn't at the aid station. He wasn't feeling great nutrition wise, travel, something. And I took the lead, and that was the last time I saw anybody actually. So,
Wow. And so where was that second aid station then?
I'd have to look at the map. I don't remember exactly.
Yeah. And so how was it? So when you said you and him were duking it out, is that where the hockey skills come in?
Yeah, that's where I forgot to mention I have a collapsible hockey stick that actually fits in the naked belt that I take out for cross-checking purposes.
Wow. Awesome.
Cross-checking.
That 2006 Stanley Cup win comes in handy, you know.
And it's true, you do run with the trophy, right? You carry that whenever you run. Awesome.
Yep, of course.
So when you're now out in the lead, somebody in a subsequent wave could actually have a faster time than you, but they started 15, 20 minutes after you. You don't know somebody else's pace. So is that like working in your head that even though you're physically out ahead of everyone else, you don't know where you are in terms of time relative to people that started in subsequent waves, particularly like the sleeper, the guy who hasn't run in as many events as you, doesn't have the same history as you, and you don't know that person's out there. So are you trying to go as hard as you can the whole way, or are you pacing yourself, and how are you regulating that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely a thought for sure, because the wave starts are unique, and that not everybody's starting at once. It happened in the women's race where the person that finished in third place was actually beat by a person from a later wave, which I think that's just kind of a tough situation there. But it's a unique part of this race. In terms of pacing, it's trail running is hard for pacing. Because nothing is the same. You're going up, you're going down. It's rocky, it's rooty. Maybe it's smooth and fast. It can be a long race. So it's hard. It's also hard to say because I had a 12-minute mile in there and I had a 7-minute mile in there. They're similar effort, but nowhere near the same pace, time-wise. So I like the focus on both heart rate. So I have a heart rate monitor that I wear on my arm that's connected to my watch. This is where it gets geeky and really techy and overkill. But
no overkill. That's great to hear. It's cool to hear this stuff.
Yeah. So I have heart rate. And I have a pretty good idea of what heart rate I can sustain for 3 hours comfortably, as long as I am
fueling. What's that number? What's the number? 3 hours at what?
Yeah, somewhere in the 160s.
Okay.
Good Lord.
So
Jesus.
It's not quite to my lactic threshold, where I'm producing too much lactic acid where I can't clear it out of my muscles. That would be too much for 3 hours. There's points where like the first 25 minutes, 30 minutes up Wyndham, I was pushing my heart rate higher because, like I said, Steve and Timmy were tearing my legs off. But I knew I couldn't sustain that level of effort on a climb and that high of a heart rate for 30 minutes, but I could do it for 30 minutes. And then, I mean, there's points where my heart rate drops down lower on a descent, just due to not working quite as hard and having gravity. But kind of looking at my heart rate as I was going for something in the 160s, 163, 65. And I knew like, hey, if I'm seeing 180 and it's more than just a little climb that I'm trying to push, like, okay, I'm going a little too hard. I can't sustain this for the next hour. And that combined with how I'm feeling kind of dictates the pacing for the race. So that's how I do it. It's it's difficult and it's not always the same. Things can throw it off. So
Especially things that throw it off, the like weather, stuff like that. You know, we talked about it was misty, it rained before, and now we have the wildfire smoke. Did that affect anything? I mean, of course it affects your foot placement, stuff like that. Like, were you like at the time at the beginning of the trail run kind of intimidated of what was going on with the weather and stuff and the conditions?
yeah, so I drove up the night before. It's like a 4 hour drive or so from down here in Pennsylvania. And as soon as I got off of 87, I was looking around and just like, man, is that wildfire smoke? Why is Canada always sending their wildfire
Hmm.
smoke down here? It was pretty smoky the night before. And I was camping out and I had set up my tent and I went to bed, and 2, 3 a.m. it just starts pouring rain. And I wake up and I'm just thinking, oh, lovely. It's it's gonna be wet tomorrow. Um, it actually was not as wet as I expected. I don't think it had rained a ton prior to that, and it had stopped raining a few hours before the race start. It was definitely foggy. There wasn't much for views. Not that I was particularly looking for views. I was focusing on where my feet were going. But yeah, foggy, pretty humid, and definitely slick in parts. But I didn't have very many sections where it felt like a consistent level of slickness on the rocks. Of I kind of felt comfortable with how my shoes were going to grip on the rocks and how much I'd slide, where I could put my feet. Yeah, it was wet, but not a slip and slide.
That's good. There's always times, you know, when I'm out on the trail, even, you know, just regular hiking, that I kind of second guess my next step because the way the rock looks or something like that, it'll just, you know, be slippery and stuff. But then it's not, you know, like you're like, oh, wow, wow. So you kind of, but that's, I mean, you did this for 3 hours and like second, I don't know if you second guess your next step and stuff. And like, were there any times of where you had kind of like that little like, oh shit, like maybe I should slow this down or like let's keep pushing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that anytime you're running downhill in the Catskills, and I mean, I haven't run downhill that much in the Catskills. I love running downhill in the Catskills. It's so much fun. But you definitely have moments where you're just absolutely shocked that this giant rock face is in the middle of the trail, and you're not exactly sure how you're supposed to get down it. It's like, this doesn't seem like a trail. Where are those Western switchbacks that would just take me gently down this trail? Yeah, there's definitely a few points where I maybe took half a second to pick a line. I am not. I mean, you kind of have to do this on the trail, but I'll use my both my hands to lower myself down off of things. Yeah, I I was doing some funky moves. Didn't really have any moments where I turned myself backwards to down climb, but
Hmm.
yeah, there's a few times where I had to be careful with picking my line, and was kind of surprised by what I saw on the trail. Surprised and unsurprised. This is the Catskills, but
So what percentage of your time, if you can, were you actually running versus kind of like backing off and walking, if you will, to get some recovery in?
I could see if I could find the actual data,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
because the watch would track that.
No shit. So you're not always trail running, like, you know, like it's a trail runner.
No,
Of course. I'm
yeah.
plain stupid.
So it's yeah, it's tricky. There comes a point when the grade gets steep enough where it's going to be more efficient to hike than to run,
Mhm.
because the level of output that you have to put in to run at that grade is too high to sustain for the amount of time that I'm running. So that's kind of where the heart rate comes into play a bit. Like going up Blackhead, I hiked. I mean, it was a pretty, my heart rate was in the 160s the whole time, but I hiked 85% of Blackhead.
Mm-hmm.
And other people, maybe people stronger, maybe people, I mean, Steve Kerr is a monster climber. He probably ran more of Blackhead than me. And I think he even had a faster time by 10, 15 seconds. But I knew that it was going to be more efficient for me to hike up Blackhead because it's steep. And if I was only racing up Blackhead, maybe I could run all of it. But then I'd be toast and I'd have another 8 miles to go. So I would say over the course of the race, probably ran 80% of the time.
Wow.
Yeah, and the only time that you're walking is when you felt it was more efficient going uphill to walk, or were you at times when the trail was level or going downhill, you were running because that's where you could really make good time and you were going to run?
Yeah. So I never ran. I almost said that wrong. I almost said I never ran on the flats or the downhills. That's backwards. I never walked on flats or downhills. I come from a track and cross country background. And that's kind of more where some of my strengths lie within trail running is with having the leg speed for some faster flats and downhill. And while escarpment is certainly technical and has a lot of elevation gain, there's also a surprising amount of stuff that you can run pretty fast on. And yeah, I took that to my advantage and ran maybe faster than some other people and made some time up on those downhills and the flats. But certainly on the uphills, like I will alternate some hiking and running. So I might run for a bit. And then once I feel like I'm straining, I'll hike for 30 seconds and then run for 30 seconds. And I mean, it's like power hiking. So I might be hiking at 15-minute a mile pace,
Wow.
which is still pretty high effort, but it's more efficient than trying to run at 15-minute a mile pace. So I don't know if I have an exact formula for it, but there's certainly a mix of it for sure. It's not all, I can't run all of it. I'm not Killian. I'm not strong enough.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of sections that, us hikers that know about on the Escarpment Trail that you can kind of book on, from Acre Point all the way to the base of Blackhead. You can book along that.
Absolutely.
Bottom of Blackhead, the bottom Blackhead, the Arizona to the Dutcher Notch, like descent, you can book. Top of Stopple Point all the way to North Point, you can book along that. So I couldn't even imagine how fast you guys were going, along those areas. When I feel like I'm going downhill, kind of like at times of when I don't catch myself and I'm like, oh, too fast. And you guys are actually doing this on purpose. When I kind of just get going and I have to somehow catch myself on a tree or something like that. But you guys are doing this on purpose. That's just phenomenal. I got to get out there and do one of these not aid station, but just be in the middle of this and see this. It's got to be amazing.
Gravity is great for going downhill.
That's a good point. So, Nike, being in all this part, you're on your final stretch. Did you know that you were going to win this? I mean, when on the final part, when you're crossing over the line, like how did you feel? Like, when did you know that you won it? Like, because everybody goes in waves. So, do you have to wait like hours?
Yeah. So the way Dick does it is that like try and make it so that less like somebody really fast isn't in one of the later heats. Is he says if you think you have a reasonable chance of finishing on the podium in the Escarpment Trail run, make sure you're in the first wave.
Okay.
So I didn't know for sure. I figured I probably had run fast enough to where nobody was going to come from the second wave, but it was definitely a possibility. And certainly during the race, like since I was alone from about mile 5 to the finish, um, I was running paranoid the whole time. You can't see anything. I was trying to listen. Um, I was listening for aid stations behind me. So if I went through and they were cheering and I got up the climb, I'd start counting from that, or I'd look at my watch from that aid station and I'd see if I could hear them cheering and see how much time was had elapsed before I heard more cheering to see how big of a gap I had. So I really didn't know what was going on until I got to really the end, coming down at the very end, and it was completely in the fog. I couldn't see the finish line. I actually had somebody out with a foghorn, the blast to tell the people to get the finish line tape up. And I'm running downhill, and I looked up at the clock, and I could just see it through the mist, and I saw 2:49 something, I think 50, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna be so close to going sub 250. I gotta like book it. So I started booking it, and I think I went probably like 100 meters past the finish line just to slow myself down. And I turned around and was like, was that sub 250? And they had to go and look at the timing, and it was either 59 or 58, one of those. But it was quite the time finishing.
So that's 6 minutes ahead of Steve. 6 minutes. A lot of people be like, "Hey, that's not a lot of time," but with trail running, that's a significant amount of time. Like for you waiting to another person of 6 minutes, even with hiking, that's I gotta admit that's like, oh God, like how slow is this person going and stuff like that. I mean, that means I wouldn't say you butchered him, but I mean that's really great that you kind of kicked his ass along that. Did you have any like when he came across the finish line? Did you like be like give him the finger and be like, "Ha, kicked your ass, buddy"? No, I'm just kidding.
No, Steve is a good friend. So yeah, he ran a good race. I'd run my last two races with him too. And he kicked my butt out in California. So this was payback for the whooping he gave me in California, was giving it back at Escarpment. But it was a good time.
Did Steve tell you at what point, if at any point, he gave up on trying to catch you? Or was he always in hot pursuit until the end, or he just realized that there was no catching you on that day?
I didn't talk to him about it.
No.
I mean, the last time he saw me was the top of Wyndham, and I gave him a pat on the back. Um, he gained on me on Stopple. You can go back and look at splits. He gained like 90 seconds, but I was already up enough then where it wasn't enough to catch me. So I don't know if he ever really stopped. And I mean, the thing with these longer races is that anything could happen. I could have cramped up. I saved a little bit the last, I don't know, couple miles because I could feel if I pushed too far, I was going to fully seize up. So I've had experiences where I've been cramped up on the side of the trail, crunching salt pills in my teeth just to try and get moving again. So
how do you know that? Like, what's the signs of that you're gonna cramp up and kind of break down?
yeah, so for me, I started to feel a lot of tightness in my hamstrings, and kind of inner thighs. So where like I felt a lot of tightness and like clenching up. And it kind of felt like the start of a cramp. And once that happened, like cramping's not always related to electrolytes and hydration, but it oftentimes is. So I made sure to chug some water and get some more salt. And then just not overly stress the muscles more than I had to. until the very end, to try and avoid blowing up my quads or hamstrings.
It's tough. It's tough to regulate. You go and you're like, oh, I'm doing pretty well, and then all of a sudden some cramping comes about, and you're like, oh, do you have to like stop? Or I mean, of course you got to slow down. You don't fully stop and then start doing some like salt and stuff like that in water. Do you just kind of coast and do that?
Tail. Last fall, I forget what it is. It's after Cornell Wittenberg. You go on kind of they call them the back nine, I think. No, the back nine. And it goes up over like it goes down in the town.
Goes
That
over
kind of
over Romer
Romer. It goes
Mountain.
over
Yeah.
Romer. And I
Samson.
don't know if you've been on those trails, but they're not my favorite. They're like kind of up and down, really hard to run, but like you should be able to run fast on them.
Yeah. They're little rollers, right?
Yeah, and little rollers. There's a lot of leaves down, hard to
Mhm.
see like where my feet were. Lots of just kind of janky rocks. And this was like mile 22, and one quad went like fully seized up, like I couldn't put any weight on it. And then the other quad went, and I just fell over on the side of the trail. I could not move. I could not stay upright. And I was like, man, my race is over. I still have like 4 miles to the finish here. I'm done. But I sat there like massaging my quads and eating salt pills and drinking water. And eventually, like it kind of worked itself out a bit. Not fully, but enough that I was able to get moving again. But I probably lost like 3 minutes there. Um,
3 minutes.
so
Wow, tough.
so I mean, it's the kind of thing of like, I mean, that could have happened at Escarpment. So you never know. It's the part of the excitement of trail racing. There's so many variables that go into it. Um, you can blow a big lead.
Yeah. So, Andrew, maybe that's a good segue into a question that interests me, which is the mental aspect of training in endurance sports. So, I did a little reading up on this, and it appears since 2010, 2011, there's a growing body of research relating to mental training for endurance athletes that involves developing psychological skills to enhance focus, resilience, and performance. Are you familiar with this research? And do you do anything to lower your rate of perceived exertion when you train and when you compete?
Yeah,
So tell us
um,
about it.
for sure. Um, there's kind of a saying that's not fully true, but it kind of gets to this point of like running is 90% mental, 10% physical. So I mean the brain and the mental side of any sport really plays a big role in how you'll perform. It's not just the act of the physical activity itself. So that's definitely something I think about. I think for me, like focusing on like just the joy that running and racing brings me. Like that I have the gift of being able to run and to race and to push myself, that I choose to put myself in these situations. Nobody's making me um, run escarpment. That'd be kind of a crazy thing to do. Like I've decided and like I want to run this race, and yeah, I enjoy that so much. I enjoy the competition and pushing my um, body and testing myself against mountains and trails and different races and my competitors. I enjoy the challenge of that. So I think focusing on those things and the positives and just the gift that it is to be able to be physically fit and able to run. I mean, not everybody has that, and I get to do that, and that's pretty cool. So I think focusing on those things rather than the man, I'm 2 hours in and my legs are dying and I just want to be done. It's just kind of focusing more so on the joy of it. I mean, I was hooping and hollering out there at aid stations. Just there's so many volunteers out there with water and cheering, and yeah, even just like being alone on top of mountains, like giving a shout. It's just like, this is fun. I get to be out here doing this. So yeah, I think focusing on that is helpful for me.
Okay. So another question that I conjured up in my laboratory of question processing is, if you could, what one question would you want Killian Jornet to answer, and why would it be that one question?
This is a great question. There are so many things I would love to ask Killian. Like, can you pay for me to go on this 14er event cup that you're doing for a few months? No, other than that, I think something that I find so fascinating about Killian is not only is he, in my opinion, the greatest to ever do it on the trail running side of things. I mean, he's done it all. What I find the most impressive is how long he's done it. I mean, he's in his late 30s now. Don't quote me on his exact age. He's 37, 38, something like that. But he's been doing this at the highest level since, I mean, basically being a teenager. And he's still at the top of his game. So I find that so interesting. And I think he's talked about it at different points. But I think it's cool to see somebody that's been that good for that long.
Yeah.
And it's also not burnt out on it either. And I think the projects he's been doing recently with these like mountain links up, maybe that's his way of not burning out on racing and still being excited about being in the mountains and doing cool things.
Mm-hmm.
So
a new challenge.
Yeah, it's very inspirational to, have this guy at this age do what he's doing and just be like, holy shit, like if he can do it, I guess I can do it at 20 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, not at 40.
Well, kudos to him for, having a solid career so far. So here, my next question, Andrew. Years ago, I was a pretty competitive amateur road bike racer, mountain bike racer. And what didn't occur to me at the time I was doing it, but I learned later on that there's a fair amount of cheating in amateur athletics, particularly bike racing. And I was, when I say cheating, I'm not talking about cutting switchbacks. I'm talking about using pharmaceuticals and blood products to enhance your performance. Any of that going on in trail running, to your knowledge?
I would love to say that the answer is no. And I can't say that I have personal experience with knowing people, but it absolutely goes on. This is funny. I actually saw something today. The winner, Joylene Chepengetich, she was sponsored by Solomon. Kenyan athlete, had a fantastic year this year, won two of the biggest races, OCC and Sierra Zinal in Europe. Massive races. She won both of them, which is basically unheard of. Comes out today that she tested positive for a steroid of some kind.
Wow.
So it happens in trail running. And I mean, I don't have personal experience with this. But I do know that there's not great testing or control over the testing in trail running. We're in a unique spot of it's growing. There's so many events all over, everywhere. They're getting more popular. I mean, 100-mile races, 250-mile races, and then local like trail 10Ks. There's all kinds of stuff. And as the sport is growing, more people are coming into it. So more money and sponsorship and publicity is also coming into it, which I think increases maybe the advantage, or it gives people a reason to pursue
Popularity.
doping. Because, I mean, why would you? I mean, you could, but like, there's not much incentive to dope and take on that risk if there's not really any money to be won.
Mhm.
But at some of these bigger races, I think UTMB just happened in Europe. There's 25, $30,000 for winning the
Wow.
race,
Yeah.
which nothing compared to road racing or track racing or any other professional sport. But that's still a substantial amount of money, and there's also not testing.
Mhm.
There's testing at some events. Notoriously, there's a trail racing series called Golden Trail Series, has a lot of prize money. They don't do any testing at all.
Hmm.
And it's most people kind of think that I mean, there probably is people doping in the race. And I'd like to think the best of people. And like, I don't know any of these people. I haven't raced Golden Trail. I haven't heard anything, just a lot of rumors. But it's probably likely, unfortunately. And then there's also no out of season doping control either.
Cool.
So these athletes theoretically could do whatever they want during the winter or when they're not competing and then get themselves clean while still having the benefit of doping. And nobody will be the wiser, even if there is testing. So I think there's definitely areas for the sport to grow on the professional side of things in that, because it is starting, it could become a problem. And I think in order for it to be legitimate, it needs to be addressed. But for escarpment, I don't think anybody's doping at escarpment, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Did you get any like wins from that? Like get like a high five at the end? Is that it?
Yeah, there's no prizes at escarpment.
See, that's
Or
a
anything,
joy.
which is great. Like, and it even says it on the website. Like, yeah, it
That's
got to
fantastic.
got to
That's
run the
great.
race. Like,
It's all about bragging.
yeah, and I got to hang out with people afterwards, race some people during the race, saw a cool trail. It was a fun time.
Excellent.
So I'm glad that still exists in this sport here. It's not all getting commercialized and full of money and probably doping. So
Gotcha. So where are you going next? Where's the next event for you?
yeah. So my next event is going to be Boulder Beast, 24 mile in Lock Haven, Pennsylvania, in like 11 days.
Oh, nice.
So it's coming up quick. I'm finishing up training for that. I'm kind of using this as a training race. So I'm doing JFK 50 mile in Maryland in November, which is a bit of a bigger race. So that's where I'm heading next. I'm jumping up post escarpment to a 24 mile and then a 50 mile. So kind of use that as my jumping off point for some longer distance races here.
Nice. Do you have any like social media pages that you're on Facebook and Instagram or?
I am on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay.
I am not great about sharing things on either of those.
Okay.
I'm a teacher, so social media gets a little bit weird sometimes. I'd say the one, like, maybe this would appeal to the crowd that listens to this podcast. I am on Strava, and I'm probably the most active on Strava.
Okay.
And that's a good place to follow training and different things I've been doing. You can follow me on Instagram. I believe it's Hutchinson or underscore
something.
If you look up Hutchinson, I'll probably show up.
Okay.
I don't really post very much, but
I'll
I am on
tag
Instagram,
you in the show notes.
and I'm on Strava at Andrew Hutchinson, and I'm probably the most active on there because I'm a running nerd.
Nice. All right. Well, I'll tag you in all those, and I'll put it in the show notes as well. So,
All right.
last question we have of the night: post hike brews and bites. Now, you've been in the Catskills 3 times before. Did you ever get anything in the Catskills, or did you just flee out of there and get back home?
Oh boy. Now I'm gonna try and think. Um, After Cat's Tail, I was kind of dying.
Of course.
I don't think I really did much. After Escarpment, I went to some burger place. It was down in like past Hunter Mountain.
It's probably Mama's boy, right?
I think it was Mama's. I think that's right. I went there. It was solid.
Nice.
I was a
Good.
little worried about eating a burger after running Escarpment, but it went down fine. It was
Nice.
pretty good. So
Nice.
I can recommend that.
Cool. So Andrew, once again, thank you for joining us. I had a fantastic time hearing about your win on the Escarpment Trail Run 2025, 48th. Just great to hear, bits and pieces of just what goes through your mind and such during such difficult time of running through these areas. I just can't comprehend of what you guys think of flying through these areas. The next step, once again, your heart rate, your intake and stuff like that. It's just great to hear everybody's different aspects of this and just to get a different perspective from a different person. So glad you can join us. And I thank you so much for joining the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was a great time. So big thanks to the monthly supporters and monthly sponsors of the show. Really appreciate you guys. Also, thank you to everybody who has donated to the show. Really appreciate it. Your money not just goes to us, back in the Catskills. And thank you to everyone who is still listening. 187 episodes in. Andrew shares of his W on the 2025 Escarpment Trail Run. So thank you, Andrew. Have a great night. And
Thanks,
glad
Andrew.
to have you on the show.
Hey everyone, I just want to thank you for listening to the show. If you enjoyed the show, subscribe and throw down a smooth review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any podcast platform that you use. You can also check daily updates of the podcast, hikes, hiking news, and local news on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the official website of the show. Remember this. You gotta just keep on living in the Catskills, man. Livin.
Wicked.